Hello, how are you guys? My name is Cristian Lopez from 2i Photography. Today I'm going to talk to you about presets. I will show you how to create one in Lightroom 5, and I also going to show you how to synchronize your settings. Okay, the first thing that we do here, I'm going to explain to you the difference between being a photographer and an artist. As a photographer, you work on composition and exposure. For example, if we take a look to this image right here, when I was on location, I wanted to use a wide aperture because I wanted to throw the background out of focus, which means that I needed to use a wide aperture and a long focal length. So I shot this at 50th of a second. My aperture was 3.8 and my shutter speed was 1/25th of a second, and my ISO was 400. I was shooting at ISO 100, but my shutter speed went down to 1/40th, which means that I was in like camera shake. I got into a camera shake danger because as a rule of thumb, your shutter speed needs to be as fast as your focal length. So if you're shooting at 50 millimeters, your shutter speed needs to be at least 50th of a second or faster. So I wanted to use the aperture. I wanted to use that 3.8 because that's where the 50 millimeters one shines. Like one or two steps over the max aperture. So I wanted to use 3.8, right? But I wanted to make my shutter speed faster. So what I did was I increased my ISO. I went from 100 to 400. ISO is a global adjustment, so it's going to affect my aperture and my shutter speed. Alright, so this is what you do as a photographer. You deal with all these things. You deal with the triangle exposure. And if you have a flash, and then you're going to have two exposures, to control. And also, as a photographer, you have to work on the composition. For example, on this one here, you can tell that they both are in one of the intersection points right here. Okay, so I wanted to put it in one of the thirds. I was using the row of the thirds on this one. Okay, so now we're gonna become an artist. I'm going to make this image look the way I want it to look. For example, I want to turn this image into a beautiful black and white, but I want to give it my own style. And this is where Lightroom shines, because it allows you to play around with all the settings. This shot was, I shot this in RAW, which means that it records all the information, and and you get more control in post processing. Okay, so now I'm gonna go down here where it says basic, and I'm going to decrease, no, I'm going to turn this into a black and white. All right, but now if you do this and just turn it into a black and white, this is just what everybody's getting. Okay, that's a black and white, but it's kind of boring. But I want to make it look the way I want it to look. We're going to create a Cristian Lopez black and white vintage look. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna decrease my blacks a little bit. Now I'm gonna increase the shadows. Let me see about let me play around with the highlights a little bit. Just gonna keep the highlights a little, we're gonna increase the highlights a little bit. Now we're gonna play around with the contrast. When you increase the contrast, what you're simply doing is, darken the darkest and lighten, making your white whiter and making your black, darker thing. I'm gonna increase the clarity a little bit, probably like about 4%. I'm gonna come down here and change this to daylight. I'm gonna come down to lens correction and change, because our lenses are not perfect, so you're gonna have to enable profile correction, lens correction. Gonna enable that. As you can see, there was a little bit of barrel distortion there. I'm gonna come down here, and I can always, apply noise reduction, so I don't really care if I shoot at ISO 400, 800. I'm not really concerned about that. So now I'm going to set it to 50%. Now I'm gonna add some sharpening. I'm gonna press Alt, but I want the sharpening only to affect my two subjects, which is my sister and my dad. So the only parts of the image that is going to be sharpened is the white parts, because black reveals I mean, white reveals, black conceals. So now I'm gonna increase the amount of sharpening. Then I'm gonna go to, let's see, lens correction, vignetting, no. Now I'm gonna go over here, that is where it says split toning. And in split toning I go to highlights, and this is what is going to make my image look so different. Now I'm gonna start playing around with the highlights. You see how that's changing? Alright, let's see. Probably looking for something like, there we go. Okay, I think that's gonna be okay. So this is the before, this is the before and after, before and after. Now I'm gonna add a little vignetting. I'm gonna go down here where it says effects and just add a little vignetting, you know, about 4, -4. Now that I have all of these settings, I can save all of these and create my own preset. So we're gonna go to the left side. I'm gonna click on the plus sign right here. It says create a new preset. I'm gonna click on that. You're gonna get this box right here that says new develop preset, and Lightroom is going to ask me which settings I want to save. For example, you can save your white balance, your basic tone, your turn curve, your clarity, sharpening, and all these. You may want to save all of these. The only ones that you do not save is the graduated filters, and I'm going to explain that to you in a little bit. So now I'm going to change the name of this preset. Okay, we're gonna name this preset Cristian. Let's say Cristian Lopez vintage look. All right, now I'm going to click create, and it's gonna come down here. You can put this in a different folder if you want to, but we're just gonna leave it here for right now. Now I got this bunch of images right here. Hold on, for some reason it's not working. Okay, now that I got all of these images right here, I want to apply these settings to all of these images right here. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to press shift and I'm going to click on the last photograph, which means that all of the photos that are between the first one and the last one, you know, are going to these settings are going to be applied to all those images. So then I'm going to come down here where it says synchronize, and now this box is going to open, and now Lightroom is going to ask me which settings I want to apply to those images. Like I said, you don't want to add any spot removal, crop, or local adjustments because your subjects may be in a different position, so you don't want to do that. You just stick with your basic tone and your white balance and the lens correction effect ADC. So now I'm going to apply and synchronize these settings. Alright, and it's taking a little bit. And now I can come down here and look at my image. And as you can see, those settings were applied to all of these images, which means that all of my photographs are going to look the same. And people will know that this is a Cristian Lopez photograph. Alright, and that's how you create a preset inside Lightroom 5. My name is Cristian Lopez. Thanks for watching.